Hello and welcome to today's Python tutorial for beginners. In today's tutorial we are going to make a weather application in Python using Openweathermap API. So if I run this program, you will see that I'm required to enter a city, and I'm going to enter Amsterdam. I click enter, and then I get these three pieces of information, and after 5 seconds something else is going to happen. And let's wait for 2, 1, and now let me stop this. So I ask for some information about Amsterdam, the weather in Amsterdam, and it's clouds, broken clouds, and the temperature is 17 degrees of Celsius. So after each 5 seconds it's going to get updated. It doesn't make any sense to update the information every 5 seconds, so it was just for showing you how it can work if you want to update it every, I don't know, 6 hours, for example, or every 12 hours you want to have some updated information that just runs there. And you will see how we can do that. And you can also look for humidity, pressure, wind direction, and all that sort of stuff. But this is the just some information so that you know how it works and how you can work with APIs in Python. And now let's start. Okay, so I'm here on openweathermap.org, which offers free API for weather, and I've created an account here. So if I go to my API keys here, you can see I have this API key, which I can change and delete anytime. So I can generate a new API key, and then I can delete the previous one. So after this video is recorded, I will delete these two APIs and generate new keys. So you should have access to this one. So let's just copy and paste it somewhere here. Let's just call it API app ID for now, and put it in a as a string in single quotes. So let's get back. Now let's go to this part here, like API, so documentation, and this one is for free, so we can click on API documentation for current weather, and we're looking to use something by city name, so we can enter a city name and then it will give us that information. So this is how we call this API, by using this endpoint here. So what we can do, we can simply copy this, and let's take also a closer look at what it involves. So it has two parameters here, like q equals city name, and app ID that we just saved is our API key. Look at the parameters. So these two are required. You should have a city name. This is a q parameter, and you should also have an API key. But then you can have units. This is optional. So for example, if you want to use Fahrenheit or some other measurements, you can use them here. So we are going to use metric actually. So we are going to use units parameter as well. And you can specify the language. And this is how it works. So this is the API call for a city, London, and this is the API key. And if yeah, you can also mention the country if there are 2 Londons, for example, in the world. Yeah, okay, so now that I've copied this address here, let me copy it again. Let's go back, and let's save this into a URL variable. But remember, this should be HTTP. So yeah, it should be like that. Now I have these two pieces of information, but the first thing, we are going to request for some response from that web page. So we need to import requests in Python, and we are going to request to get some information. And what is it that we are going to get? Well, let's see. So let's just call it R, and R is going to requests.get. So we are going to request to get something. What is it that we are going to get? Well, that URL that you just saw. So we are going to get this URL. So we can actually simply use it like let me show you, just URL, just like that, and we can fill in this information manually. So I can also copy and paste this one here, and then for city name I can have another variable, call it a city, like I don't know, Amsterdam for example, and then put it here using an F string like that. So if I use city and if I use app ID, this is what we can get actually. So let's see if we can get anything here. Let's see. Oh, I haven't printed anything. So print R this. So we should get something like a code, a status code of 200 or something. Yeah, and we get 200. So 200 is a successful status HTTP code actually. If you get 300, it means redirection, and if you get 400, then 4 or 400 means something is wrong with that request or response. So 200 is a good number to have here. But we do not need this code here. We actually need to have access to the JSON file. So let's just say that r.json, and this time let's see what we get. So we should get something like this, yes. And what does that mean? So here we have a JSON format that is JavaScript notation, object notation, or like a Python dictionary. So we have key value pairs. This is the key, like coordinates, and this is the value, like longitude, latitude. This is another key, weather. It's in a list, and at index 0 we have all this information here. So what is it that we are interested in? So we are interested in, well, not the latitude and stuff, but maybe about the cloud part and description, and also temperature, which is here. Maybe feels like something else, I don't know, pressure, so you can have access to all these, wind, speed of the wind, so yeah, country, so all this information. But let's just not get into all these details. You can do that yourself. So for me, it would be important to get into the clouds part, the condition, the general condition, and the description, as well as the temperature. So how can I get access to these? So in Python dictionaries, you can specify weather, and then inside the weather, it's a list. So the first index, that is the index 0, inside that index 0, you should look for main, which is clouds. Okay, let's do that. Okay. Now, let me just print some space here, because I want to keep that information right in front of me as well, just to look for some other information here. Now, so first of all, we need to go for main, which is clouds, right? Or for description. But let's go for main now. How do I get there? I can say, for example, a variable like condition equals res, well, sorry, r.json. Yeah, let's make another variable, call it res actually, and put r.json inside that. It's easier, res. So res, which is all this, and inside that we need to get access to weather first. So weather, and inside the weather, remember that was index 0, right? Because it's the first item, it's a list. So a list is based on indexes, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is the first, see, this is the first index, index 0 in this list. So it should be 0, and inside that I want main, right? So again, square brackets and main, and this should give me clouds. Now, how about description? The same thing. Let me copy and paste. and let's just call it description, and only here I say description. That's it. But for temperature we need to get to some other parts. So for temperature, let's see where temperature is. Temperature is inside main, so this is the key. Inside main, so there is no list anymore, so there is no index 0 or something. Inside main, temp, that's it. So let's go for temp equals res and main, and right inside main it was called temp, right? Okay, now let me just print them out just to see if it works. So we are looking for condition, then yeah, let's just some space here, temp, and temp is a variable, and what else? What was that? Description. Okay, let me just print these out, and there is something wrong. What is wrong? Description is not defined. Description. Encryption. Yeah, there is a typo here. Okay, let's print this out again, and you see clouds. This is the 290. Oh dear, this is Fahrenheit, not Celsius. I'm glad it's not 290. And broken clouds. Okay, so we need to change the temperature units, right? So now you see this works like that, and maybe we need to also use the, what was it, the where was the units? The units. Let me look for units. Oops. The units. Where did you put the units now? Oh, like that. So there's an ampersand and units metric, right? So I can, yeah, like here, units, and then ampersand, and this also should work, huh? Let's see. Now this time it's 17, so much better. Yeah, 17 degrees of Celsius. So temperature, I can also add C here, so you would see that it's oh, not inside 2 but only 1. So now, yeah, okay, yeah, much better. Okay, now we need to arrange this a bit better. So let's get rid of all this information. We don't need that. So let me get rid of this print thing here. And also we don't need these spaces here anymore. Now maybe it's better to put this inside a function. And yeah, let's put this inside a function. So let's make the function actually yeah, here. So let's just say def get weather, for example, and here city, so that whenever someone enters city, something happens. I don't want to hard code it like that. So whenever someone enters city, right? And so we have app ID, we have the URL, and everything else. Yeah. Okay. So let's get rid of this one. And sorry, I need to indent it now. This is inside, and I have to also colons, and I have to call the function. And let's just say, I don't know, like Rome. There might be something wrong, or no? No, in Rome, clouds, yeah, 25 degrees. Ah, good for them. And overcast clouds. Okay, so now you know how it works. Now what about that time thing that is it updates every 5 seconds or 5 hours or whatever you want. So to do that, we need to put this inside. Well, first of all, we need to import time module. So import time. We're going to use time. And then here we need to put this into a while loop, which is always true. Always true. And then, yeah, indent this. But this time we need to make it sleep for 5 seconds. For 5 seconds. Now every 5 seconds it wakes up and gets us the weather for Rome. Let's run this. And let's see. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. You see? So that's for seconds. You can also change it to, I don't know, like 5,000 seconds. Whatever, count. Yeah, do some math and try to come up with some numbers if you want it to run every, whatever, 2 hours or something. Okay, that was nice. So remember, we can always include more information here. You can change the formatting. For example, I myself prefer to use F strings here so that I get rid of all this. Let me show you what I mean. So, okay, so when you use F string, you can say something like condition, and then here put the variables inside curly brackets, and then like next line, and then I don't know, temp, for example. Let's go back a bit. So temp, and then you should put this temp inside curly brackets because this is actually a variable, and then attach this to it, and then go to next line again. And now the description, let me attach this. So this description, and description should be also inside because this is a variable. And now if I print this out, you would see this has been formatted much more nicely. So condition, temperature, description, right? So you can tweak these and play with this, and now you know how to ask or fetch an API and look for some information. Another, well, that's it actually. That's basically it. But we can also change some other stuff. So if you want to just keep watching for just a couple of minutes, we can do some other things. For example, we can, instead of putting these here, and remember this should be an F string, instead of putting these here, we can specify them outside, just like app ID, for example, that we did. So we can make something else. We can say, for example, URL, and let's get rid of all these parameters. Remember, these are parameters: Q, units, and app ID. Let's get rid of these, and this, and the F string, right? And then let's say that for this request, now we need another variable called parameters, because we just got rid of those. So we can just say that URL equals URL, and params equals params, something like that for parameters. Now we need to specify our parameters here. So I would say params equals, like a dictionary. There was a Q, if you remember. There was a Q, and that Q is going to be what? Like city, the name of a city, which we get here actually. And then the next one was app ID, so app ID, which equals what? Well, this app ID here. And there was also another one, which was units, right? Units equals metric. Metric. Okay, so this is actually the exact same as what we did before. So, but you now have more control over these here, so they're not just inside the URL, all of them, but it's the same. Well, I hope it works. don't embarrass me. Okay, yeah, it worked. Okay, so this is how it's done. This is the second actually way of doing it. It's a bit cleaner, let's say. Yeah, but it's the same anyways. So yeah, thank you for listening and watching.